Post video Papega here. I just wanted to say, TLDR, I do recommend this game, but there's some caveats, so I recommend listening and watching on. Uh, After editing the video, which I hate editing, I appear way more negative in it than I wanted to, but just know I do have love for this game. I do like it. I do enjoy it. Um, so take it with a grain of salt. I'm only like 50 hours in, so I'm not the most experienced person. So keep that in mind. Anyway, thank you. Active Matter. I've been playing this game for a couple weeks, and you may know it as an extraction shooter, Tarkov sort of game. But is it that? Is it worth buying? And should you worry about it? I'll be honest, Active Matter is probably the most frustrating game I've ever played. And if it wasn't for my friends, I wouldn't even own it. And that's problematic. And we'll get into why. In this video, we're going to talk about if you should get Active Matter, if you shouldn't get Active Matter. We're going to talk about gameplay issues, technical, experience-wise, all of those things. Some things that I think should change about the game, as well as some of the things that I think are extraordinarily frustrating. We're also going to talk about the current state of the game, how active the developers are, and if it's something even worth investing in. Because currently, the only way to invest in the game is via Gaijin's website, which to get early access to the game, it's going to be $30, I think, US for the base version. Now, I paid for the base version because I had a lot of friends that were playing it, and I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it. But there's quite a few things that really piss me off about this game. And a couple of them, the first one I want to talk about is the film grain. This game, it exceeds every idea of what you think a video game should be and how developers handle the setup of their game, and it enables film grain by default. What fucking game that isn't like a mega horror game, which in many ways Active Matter is a horror game, enables film grain by default? That's just fucking ridiculous to me. So you have to go into your options and turn it off. Now, if you're like me and you're stupid, you didn't turn it off your first 20, 30 hours of the game. So it wasn't until I was playing with a buddy that I started complaining about it that he said, oh, you just turn film grain off. Now, listen, that might fix the issues with noticing things, or at least a little bit. The problem is, it's so hard to see fucking anything in Active Matter because of their innate filters. And what I mean by that is, even once you turn off film grain, it almost feels like there's a back-end film grain that they've baked into the game and just dialed it down to like 30%. And that makes seeing other players near impossible unless they're stupid and just completely out in the open. And listen, I understand. It's going for a realistic feel. But if you're going to go for a realistic feel, then throw your fun away. Because I don't play games for realism. I play games for fun. Now, do I like games that are more realism-sided or realism-esque? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that when I go into my shooter, I actively want to feel the recoil of the gun on my shoulder. That doesn't mean I actively want to feel the actual gunshots hitting my character. None of these are things I want to feel, right? So there's obviously liberties we take with realism as a whole. But the problem is characters, even the base characters, seem to blend in with the environment, and it's even worse with the AI characters that turn soldiers, as they almost ubiquitously wear green fatigues. And with that comes any type of greenery in the game is they're literally part of the background, and sometimes you'll get randomly, as you'll see in clips of here, you'll randomly get shot out of nowhere. There's many reasons why that's frustrating, but also it doesn't need to be that realistic, right? Because these are people that I feel like I could have seen in real life, but I can't see because of this ugly hue the game has over it. That's my biggest issue when it comes to, like, the visual, right? On top of that, the map's just too dark. You turn the gamma up, all it does is saturate things. It doesn't actually make the game brighter per se. It makes it brighter in an uglier way. And the majority of the maps, like even though you can pick time of day, you pick morning, they're talking like 6 a.m. morning. They're not talking like 9 a.m. You're gonna have a beautiful sunrise. They're talking like 6 a.m. morning, sun's down, ugly as fuck, right? So if I were the developers, I would take out that film grain filter. And why the fuck is it on by default? If you're insistent on film grain, have it off by default, but add like a disclaimer and say, hey, the game is best experienced or designed to be experienced with the film grain effect. That's it. Super simple. That would fix a lot of things. My next issue when it comes to gameplay. The tutorial is ass. It doesn't exist. I mean, it might as well not exist, because it loads you in and just kind of dumps you in. It tells you how to move and how to vault, I guess. But when it comes to the actual systems, inventory management, replicator, refiner, enrichment, things like that, like you can't figure out what buttons to press. I mean, I don't know how many hours I'm in, and I'm still learning new things all the time, because there's so much to the UI that there's small quality of life things that are amazing that a lot of people won't see. For instance, my buddy who's been playing this game literally nonstop since it came out, the reason I bought the game was so I could play it with him, because he literally only plays it now. Shout out to you, Run. But top left of the loadout screen, you can repair your equipment. And then there's a tiny little refill icon above the gun in the main inventory thing, which you'll see in the loadout, that refills all of your weapons magazines by using your ammo that's in your storage, right? He just found out about that last night at the time of my recording, and at the time of recording this, it's the 8th. So he found that out on October 7th. And that's not his fault. The game doesn't explain these things. So the UI is muddy as shit. It's ugly. I can't stand it because there's too much going on. And I'm okay with games that have a lot of depth and a lot of UIs to go into. Let me tell you right now, it feels like every menu has 13 sub-menus and that I don't like. And I used to play competitive Call of Duty. And I mean, there isn't sub-menus where there should be. So if you look at further than competitive Call of Duty without there's so many things to look at and click on and go through before you actually get into your mission. It's atrocious. That what you start to experience is actually decision fatigue by the time you get into your game. Those, but there's certain AI in the game. Everyone knows them, and when I say the word, it's gonna strike fear into them. Flowermen. This is the worst AI I've ever seen, and implementation of AI I've ever seen. I want to start off by saying I love the design of the enemies. I think they all look unique to the game. None of them look like, oh, that's just this from this. It's very unique, and I'll give them credit there. But with how inconsistent shooting things are in this game, and how inconsistent melee is in this game, when you have 18 flowermen running at you T-posing, it's not an actual technical T-pose, they just run with their arms out, clotheslining you, what the fuck are you meant to do? There is not enough bullets in any magazine of any gun to kill all 25,000 of those flowermen running at one time, which means you're going to have to reload, and then you're going to have to heal, and the healing takes literally 5 seconds to use like a healing ampule. 5 seconds. That's a lot of time for flowermen to beat the shit out of you, but that's not it. Because a turned soldier 18 miles away will be prone in a bush shooting at you as well with his shotgun, and it's hitting you with the accuracy of like a pin needle. Not you though, don't even attempt to shoot him from that far, because the game doesn't have hit markers. So oftentimes you feel yourself shooting things and you're not even sure if you're hitting them. A perfect example, there's one of the maps, I believe it's called Headquarters. There's a lot of gas stations scattered around, it's kind of in the desert. Over the Headquarters POI, there is a telephone tower, or like some type of communication tower. And halfway up the tower, there's a Devourer, which is a shit-ass enemy, by the way. Like, fuck that. Now, the Devourer, you kind of want to get up close and kill. The best strategy for them is to run at them with a shotgun and just beat the shit out of them before they kill you. Because their attacks go through walls, their attacks go through ceilings. It does not matter. If a Devourer wants to hit you, you're going to get hit. And I don't know if that's a bug or intended, but it's very annoying. Now, it does work in instilling fear, because if you see a Devourer, you're like, fuck that, dude. Like, you either fucking deal with him or you don't go to that side of the map. So two of us out of the three are in this mission. We die because you have to fight 4 devourers in this area in like a close proximity. So we end up dying because we suck at the game. Right now, my buddy is standing, God, like down 300 meters back or something like that. I don't know measurements. Don't look at me like that. I'm not a mathematician. He's sitting back. He's got an iron sight bolt action Mosin, and he's shooting at it. And he has no fucking idea if he's hitting it. He has no clue. He's just hoping he is. We still don't know if he was hitting it, because what he ended up having to do after going through like 17 fucking bullets of his Mosin and running out, he had to try and sneak res one of us with a shotgun so that we could properly deal with the Devourer. And we still never found out if he actually hit it, because it took the same amount of shots with a shotgun that it usually takes, which would lead you to believe that maybe he didn't hit it. But is there bullet drop off? Is there damage drop off? There's supposed to be. I don't know. It's confusing. It is incredibly confusing. On top of that, the AI is just overly aggressive, and it seems to just... It's realistic to a point that if you walk into a factory that has a distorted in it sitting on the ground, right? And he wakes up, and let's say it's a 4-level factory, like there's 4 floors. He is going to wake up every single other distorted in that factory at the same time, and they're all teleporting on top of you at once. Now, I understand that this means that you should be stealthy, right? So you'd think, okay, we'll just, you know, Pepega skill issue, you just go in there stealthing. That doesn't work, because sometimes the stealth works, other times it doesn't. If you have your flashlight off and you're crouch walking past the distorted, sometimes they'll wake up, sometimes they won't. I will say more often than not, they don't. So maybe the stealth is intended to work the way it does, but that doesn't make it regardlessly annoying that, like, you just feel like you lost. As soon as a whole building, the only thing you should do once, you can't stand there and fight, so it's not exciting. When the whole building wakes up, you run. That's your best bet. And from distorted, good luck, they teleport on top of you. And if it's Flowermen, good luck, they run faster than you. A lot faster. And in fact, they zigzag too, so if you're trying to get them to run in a straight line so you can shoot them, good luck, because their body is covered in flowers. So unless you shoot directly center mass, you're not hitting them. Your bullets will go through their foliage and do fucking no damage to them. That's incredibly annoying. Not to mention, the bullets seem to have the projectile size of a real-life bullet, which sounds great for realism. But as we explained, fuck realism to this extent, right? But I've kind of attacked the game a little bit, so we're going to take a break. I'm going to talk about some of the things that I love about this game and why I haven't completely uninstalled it yet. The gameplay, the minute-to-minute gameplay, is seriously fun, except it's very surface level, which is fitting because of their tutorial, but it's very surface level. Yeah, there's a lot of extra things you can do, but none of it ever gets explained to you. But regardless, the minute-to-minute traveling from this area to that area, there's nothing more annoying, or sorry, there's no better feeling. I'm accidentally getting negative here. That's ridiculous. So there is no better feeling than, you know, like moving from one building to the next or clearing out one building with your buddies and all that stuff. One of the best feelings ever. The guns, my buddy, shout out RungunTTV, he is kind of a gun expert. His entire brand is basically built on guns, and I asked him, you know, what would you give the realism of the guns in this game as far as the animations that work properly, the bullets, the way the gun recoils, all that stuff. And he gives it a very high score, which is sort of important for these Tarkov-like games, right? The draw is their insanely realistic gunplay. So the guns are amazing. The enemies look fantastic, and the world looks great. It looks like an actual apocalypse. It looks like it used to be lived in. There's not a lot of dead areas. Now, kind of depends on how you identify dead areas. But from my interpretation of it, the entire maps that you go to, although sometimes are very small, are very filled. And that's good. So it's one of the things that I love about the game. Sorry, listen, I like the game. It's hard to explain how enjoyable the game is, but The gripes I have are, they're overwhelming to an extent, and they're not enough to make me quit playing the game currently, but it is enough to frustrate me. So, with that said, I don't want to rant forever, but here's how I think they should improve the tutorial. Force us to replicate something, force us to refine something, and then explain the process to us as we're going through. I don't mean with text blocks, I mean little blurbs. You're refining this for this reason. The mission we go into at first, when we first launch, it should say, hey, you're going to loot this blue rag. This blue rag literally only provides fucking currency. Not important at all, but if you need currency, take it out with you. Or it could say down the road, this could be used in a fusion recipe. Hold on to this. Or choose if you want to hold on to this. You know, and I get it. They don't want you to know everything right away, information overload. But the problem is, because there is no tutorial, it is just information overload because you're so confused on what to do. I think the gated progression with the monoliths is good. However, I don't like how expensive the monolith unlocks get. I think that needs to be tuned down. And I don't think you should be able to buy that with the premium currency in the game. I don't know what they're going to do. I think they're the crystallized active matter. I'm not sure what they're going to do with that, but it does worry me that that's going to turn into a pretty ridiculous monetization system. So Gaijin, please don't do that. Because right now the biggest monetization looks to be sleeves, right? So sleeves are your different character skins because you don't get to build your own character. The problem is the sleeves all come with their own unique traits, their own unique armor equip, you know, stuff that has real gameplay implications. And my worry is that that is going to be monetized down the road. So like a pay to win almost. Like buy this sleeve and you'll get plus 7% move speed naturally on top of the traits that you can already equip. You know, that is my worry with the crystallized active matter, and I'm hoping that that does not come to fruition. I think that you absolutely can monetize a $30+ game with microtransactions, but a game like Active Matter, I don't think you can. Obviously you can, but I mean like in a moral way. I don't think you can with PvP being in the game. Now I like the PvP. I'm not gonna go super in depth with the PvP on this because I don't really touch it. The few games I have played, fuck it. Don't do it. It's horrible. You can't see anything. It seems like everyone else can see everything. Maybe I'm just bad. Maybe I'm just blind. But I felt too blind to play PvP. Like, people were shooting me from miles away, and because of the film grain effect, I couldn't see shit. And I mean after I've already turned off film grain. Which brings me to another thing I would do. Remove the VHS effect when you spectate someone. Why do you need an effect when you're spectating? Why? Why, Gaijin? Explain. You can't, because it's unnecessary. It makes me nauseous. When I'm dead and I'm stuck spectating, and in active matter, if you're spectating a friend, you could be spectating for 15, 20 something minutes because they have to go find the active matter to pick you up. They may have to go find gear to make it safe for them to go fight the area you died in. All these different things. And that's if you're doing an isolated raid. So it's just you and them. But so when you're stuck looking at that VHS effect, it makes you nauseous. At least it did for me. It gave me like a weird motion sickness thing. I hate being dead in this game. Other games, I can die and I can just sit back like I'm watching a stream or a video or something. And I can be like, oh yeah, fun, gameplay, yeah. You can't do that with active matter because the spectate is fucking hideous. Next thing, raid passes. Get rid of them. Why? Why do they exist? I don't like when you create a problem in a game just so you can create a solution to sell to people. Make no mistake, the isolated raid passes in this current form will absolutely be monetized in the future. So people who don't want to play the PvP in this game will have to pay extra money to play PvE only. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair at all. And I don't think it's fair at all that, like, if you're, let's say you're in a team of 3 and you've got a buddy who's got like 40 isolated raid passes, and you have 6. Well, if he's using his isolated raid passes and he's the squad leader, it's also going to use yours. I don't know if that's intended, but that shouldn't be, because now you're locking people out of playing with their friends. If let's say I played all week, I was grinding really hard, and I ran out of isolated raid passes. I know you get them daily, but I'm saying like the hardcore, like playing 24/7 type of people. And then my buddy gets home from like a work trip or something, excuse me, and he wants to play, and he's got ISO passes, right? He's got like 10. But he doesn't want to do the PvE. Well, now I can't play with him because I don't have isolated raid passes. You know what I mean? I just think it's a really stupid way to lock players out of contact. And I could be wrong about that. This is just what we've noticed. I have not yet hit 0, and someone else has not yet hit 0, and we tried to queue in something. But, I mean, it only makes sense if you're taking my isolated raid passes away every time we do an ISO raid. What's going to happen when I run out, you know? And I don't like the idea of that being monetized in the future. Now, some other things, you know, small details, like, again, I think Active Matter is worth it if you like Tarkov-esque games. I think Active Matter is great. My only worry is it's going to have the Once Human effect. Now, Once Human, I've talked about quite a bit on my channel, and I like Once Human. Well, I used to. The problem is they're trying to do too many things at once. Is it a looter shooter? Is it a PvE, PvP extraction shooter? Is it a PvE extraction shooter? Is it a survival game? Like what is it supposed to be? When I go into a game and I go into, or like when I go into Imagine Active Matter and I open up a locker and there's a child's drawing and fucking what is it, electrical fucking resonators, which have 0 gameplay impact whatsoever, except something you can sell for a fucking penny when you go back to the lobby. What is the point of that stuff? Why do we have all of this loot that loot goblins are gonna want to pick up? And I'm a loot goblin. I want to pick it up, but I can't, because it doesn't make sense to pick it up. You don't get rewarded enough for it. That's what worries me, is like, I think this game is struggling to figure out what it wants to be. I think it has these 3 big things, like it's a pyramid or a triangle of what it wants to be, and it's trying to make all of those meet in the middle. And the problem with that is you're gonna attract players who want, which means they shooter. Have you're gonna attract players that want a looter shooter, and you're gonna attract players that want, they can afford to keep up with it. And I will say updates have already been rolling out. They're never going to meet in the middle. You're going to be constantly balancing this side, and it's going to hurt this side, and then balancing this side. Yeah, those are like my big things. Constant the visuals of the game. I think you need to figure out and listen what you want your game to be, and then lean into. I know this game is early access. Now, Gaijin has made some for shitting on a game that's early access. Incredible. Here's the thing. In 2025, almost every game is released in early access. The point of early access is to point out the problems with the game. It's to stress test the game. It's to see how the game works under certain conditions. All of these things. Okay, I am here critiquing the game. I play the game. I like the game. I want to see the game thrive because I am mostly a Hunt Showdown gamer. So I want to see games that can compete with Hunt somewhat, right? So competition is good. So I want this game to succeed. But I also need to be realistic about what's happening. And I think that Gaijin, either A, they've made too much and the team that they have allocated to this game cannot keep up with it in the future. Not right now. Right now they seem to be doing okay. Because there are a lot of long-standing issues that people hate, such as audio. Like you hear footsteps, but you know the vague direction they're coming from. But they have the same loudness, so they could be a mile away or right on top of you. It doesn't fucking matter. They released a hotfix today, which didn't include any audio fixes, which is disconcerting. But you know, who knows? Twitch drops have been fun. All these things. Anyway, I feel like they've got too many people, or too little people working on it. When it comes to extraction shooters, what typically happens is a small-ish community, so niche, get into it, and they play it religiously. So Active Matter will never, ever be a Call of Duty-like game. It'll never see the success of Call of Duty. But what they need to look for is that niche player base. And they need to cater to them. They don't need to make their game as accessible for grandma as it is for grandson. Okay? They need to cater to a specific audience and build the game around that, because right now it's too much. With that said, thank you so much for watching. It's a bit of a rant, ramble, but I wanted to get this out. I've been procrastinating. But yeah, thank you guys so much.